Hey, what's up everyone? Upset Max here with another TFT Masterclass. Today we're going to be talking about the best comps to climb and the best comps to play on the new patch 13.3. So, the 5 comps we're going to talk about today is going to be the newly buffed Sorcerers composition, Experiment Twitch, Enforcer's Vi, Academy Heimerdinger, and also Scrap Corki. We're also going to go over some tier lists for the best units to hold on Stage 1, and also the best item slams to use on Stage 2-1. So today's guide is essentially going to be talking about the best default compositions or comps that have a single condition to climb with on this new patch. So nothing too conditional. These are the more general comps to play. Let's do a quick meta shift or meta change review before we get into the new compositions. So new / re-emerged comps. Twitch is now back into the meta, very strong. Enforcer was quite good last patch, but now it's even going to be stronger. However, it does require a +1 emblem ideally. Scrap Corki is back. Ambusher Camille reroll or Ekko. So this will be either an artifact or an Ambusher +1. And then also Urgot reroll is still strong and back in the meta. However, you will require either an artifact or Unleash the Beast. Some nerfed comps, I'd avoid playing Dominator Silco unless you have a really good spot for it or you find an early Mordekaiser. Ronald reroll has gotten nerfed. Violet reroll I would almost completely rule out unless you have like a suspicious trench coat. Cambeard got nerfed, still playable if you have a really good spot. Same with Automata, still playable if you have a range artifact on the Nocturne. So 2 really good units on the new patch, definitely Twitch, Ekko. These have been buffed and are quite good on the new patch in their respective compositions. So let's get into a stage 1 unit tier list here. This has been reviewed by multiple challenger players, including myself. So Maddie, Steb, Darius. Maddie, Steb really ladder into Twitch. Perfect item holder, Rageblade, IE, DB, Runons. These are all going to be very good. Darius is pretty good holder. Melee items can also hold tank items, and just overall good conqueror units. Allows you to get the cash outs early, 2 gold, and eventually at 35 stacks you get that 2-star 2 cost. Remember that units still holding units still comes in packages. So you have like your frontline bruiser package, you have your sentinel package, you have your watcher package. So if you have a 2-star or a pair of 1, you definitely want to make sure that you have the other units within the package. And for the new patch regarding frontline, bruisers is definitely going to be the best now because of the Steb and Trundle buffs. And then watchers and sentinels are going to be rather equal, so don't worry about too much about the watchers and sentinels on which one is better. On the new patch, AD is definitely better than AP. Twitch is really strong right now on the new patch, while Silco, Heimerdinger, the Sentinels composition, all of these have kind of a tougher time into Twitch. Even Rebels needs to be played from a tempo or like just a high roll opener. So definitely itemizing backline AD is going to be really strong on the upcoming patch. So let's get into the stage 2 item slams tier list. Here's going to be the best items to slam on stage 2. Rageblade, Deathblade, Sunfire Cape. I know you can't get Deathblade right away. However, if you are able to through an encounter or through a augment, then definitely very good. Runons, Infinity Edge, Even Shroud, and also Stairs are going to be in our A tier. Everything else, B, is going to be rather situational. Still good, however not ideal. So we have Shojin, Guardbreaker, Gargoyles, BT, Adaptive, and Archangel. Archangel, you're going to be playing into Heimerdinger. And then anything in C to D, avoid slamming. If this is your only slam on stage 2-1 and you can streak, then go for it. However, you should rarely be slamming anything in D tier here. Alright, so let's get straight into the compositions now. Vertical Sorcerers. This is going to be a level 8, eventually level 9 composition. This is going to be a magic damage, fast-paced board. Has a little bit of backline access as well through Zoe and the LeBlanc, and also you'll be wanting to build a Shiv if you don't have a Spark. For this composition, you really need a Sorc +1 for ideal results. To get higher from a top 3, even like top 2, top 1, you really need that Sorc +1, and this can be achieved through multiple ways, either through an augment if you get a Pan plus a Rod, or on the Anomaly stage, you call in card Anomaly the Nami. Remember that Nami is Sorc and Emissary, so then since there is no Emissary emblem, you will be guaranteed Sorc emblem. You want to be playing this from a tempo opener because this is going to be a LeBlanc check type of composition, which means you either need to get to level 9 or survive long enough stage 4, stage 5, stage 6 to eventually get a LeBlanc. The reason why this composition is back in the meta is Sorcerer's AP has been buffed many times now. I believe this actually used to be 80, so now we have gone from all the way from 80 all the way to 105 at 6 Sorcerer. Here are where your 2 level 8 boards are going to potentially look like if you don't have, or if you do have a +1. So since we're going to be level 8, this is either going to be on 4-1 or 4-2, and you want to be stabilizing with that 6 sorcerer. Now, if you have Elise 2 and you only have a Zoe 1, you can backline this Elise, give her the Sorcerer emblem. Most of the time, you'll be giving her the Sorcerer emblem anyway, unless you hit a Mordekaiser, and then Shojin and Jewel Gauntlet is going to be the best Elise items. If you have the Zoe 2 and like either Elise 2, but most of the time, since you have the Zoe 2, you just want to frontline your Elise, and then Zoe items is going to be Shojin, Nashers, and JG. Now, don't get the Biss confused with Rebel Zoe Biss. Rebel Zoe Biss is going to be Rage Blade +2. However, remember, with only Sorcerers and no Rebels, now Zoe does not receive this instant injection of attack speed, which means that Rage Blade in Sorcerer Zoe is not good. You want to be building Shojin as your mana, and then going either Jewel Gauntlet plus Guardbreaker or Nashers plus Jewel Gauntlet. Your Swain is going to be always in the front line, so frontline Swain here is going to be your main tank. Spark, Gargoyle +1, any tank items, Sunfire is very good, and you can also use Bramble, Declaw, Redemption, and Steadfast. On level 8, you will be playing 4 Black Rose, so your Cassiopeia and your Morgana. Unless you hit LeBlanc, in that case, you want to be pivoting to 8 Sorcerer on level 8, and you'll drop the Cassio and Morgana, play the LeBlanc, and also the Lux. One reason why you can also backline the Elise, recently the backline Elise range spell was increased, and remember this is per spider, so it actually adds up quite well and gives you a pretty good burst from the backline. This is how you are going to be capping out your board. So eventually, once you go level 9, you're going to be playing the Mordekaiser, give the Mordekaiser the Sorcerer emblem, and give him some defensive items. QSS or Eon is mandatory, and then other damage or healing that you have. Best in slot augments along with this composition, of course, is going to be the Sorcerer emblem or crown. Getting that +1 is extremely important. Piercing Lotus allows you to not need to build the Spark unless later into the game along with the Jewel Gauntlet. So you could do this build plus like a Guardbreaker. Mana Flow, extremely good. You have a lot of backline DPS units. These 2 units are kind of fodder. They are just extra frontline and they don't really do too much. Desire does a little bit. So if you have Mana Flow, make sure you put them in the back row. If not, you can keep them in the 3rd row. So at least they tank a little bit before your Zoe and LeBlanc gets hit. Coordination is always very good. You can just add extra units. This will go over the Nashers most of the time. Immovable object, because this composition does lack frontline. Same with I'm the carry. And then any of these silver or gold augments are good as well. Duo Q to get that LeBlanc. Same with Pandora's Bench. And also any 2-1 econ. Let's keep it going here with the best in slot anomalies. So you really want to be prioritizing the Swain anomaly in this composition. As I mentioned, we are lacking frontline, so either Giant Size, Deep Roots, Slime Time is going to be good on him. Any overall tank anomalies, including Mage Armor as well. This is the one that grants, depending on how much AP you have, it grants you resistance. So in Vertical Sorcerer, this is going to be extremely strong. You can also put Zoe if you have excess frontline. Let's say you have like I'm the carry, then you can have a little bit more damage. So Kill Streak, Nothing Wasted, some of these mana ones onto the Zoe. Same with Energy Absorption, gaining AP per unit that dies based off how much AP they have. So in Vertical Sorcerer, this is extremely strong. So definitely give this composition out a try. Remember to get that Sorc +1 in order to play this effectively. And once you get that 8 Sorc in, you are going to be wiping boards really hard. Alright, so let's move on to Experiment Twitch here. Extremely good if you have a +1 Bruiser or Experiment. So Experiment here and Bruiser here. This is going to be another level 8 to 9 composition where we are stabilizing around 4 costs. This is going to be a physical damage comp that has some backline access due to the Twitch and the Caitlyn that you'll be playing. And this is going to be a scaling composition because we will be building a Rage Blade onto Twitch. So the longer the fight goes, the stronger our Twitch will be. Remember, optimally have one of these two, so either Pan plus Belt, Spat plus Belt. Belt is quite good in this composition. There are a couple of level 8 boards that you could play, especially if you have like Bronze for Life, so I'll be going over those. And last but not least, you need a lot of bows in this composition for Rage Blade and Red buff onto the Twitch. A couple buffs here. Elise also buffed. Most of the time you'll still be playing her frontline, but some rare cases play her back. Twitch, got a mana buff, which is very, very good. So he is able to cast a lot quicker and start his damage. And Warwick also got a buff as well to his stun duration, his heal, and his AD scaling. All right, so let's get into what the flex boards can look like. Remember, this is going to be on level 8, so either 4-1. I think this composition will be rather contested. It is the best composition right now apart from the Sorc +1. So sometimes you'll have to be going 4-1 if you're contested and rolling for these units early. If not, then go for 4-2 and then roll. Stabilize with 5 experiment on level 8 and then plus your flex units. So what are your flex units? Let's talk about your core first. So Twitch, Zyra, Urgot, Mundo, and Nunu are going to be your 5 experiments, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are almost always going to be playing Elise. Elise is extremely good in this composition. And then this last one is either going to be a Maddie and then preferably a Caitlyn once you hit the Caitlyn. This means we have 1 extra slot on level 8. This will either be a Gangplank, Corki if you have additional AD items, Gangplank if you're just carrying him beforehand or have him 2-starred, and Bessa or the Vi. So these are going to be your flex unit. Everybody else is core. Now, who do you bind? The 3 units that you want to be binding with 5 experiment is obviously going to be the Dr. Mundo and the Twitch, and the last one is going to be Urgot. In the off case where you have an insane amount of frontline and you are lacking damage, then you could do the Mundo, Twitch, and the Zyra. Twitch best slot is going to be Rageblade plus Infinity Edge +1. Ideally, you want 2 bow items plus the Infinity Edge on the Twitch. So either a red, Giant Slayer, Last Whisper, second, or Runons, or a second Rageblade. For Mundo is going to be Sunfire, Gargoyles +1. So either Redemption, Warmogs, Bramble, or Declaw. And as I mentioned, once you hit the Caitlyn, you want to place her over the Maddie. If you have Bronze for Life, there are a couple variations that we can play. With Bronze for Life, you want to be dropping to 3 experiments and dropping the Urgot plus the Zyra. Same thing as usual, once you hit the Caitlyn, you want to play her over the Maddie, and regardless of whether you have Bronze for Life 1 or 2, here are a couple boards you could play. For the mid-roll board, where we're playing around Gangplank and Ziggs, we can activate a good amount of traits and then have our dual carry with our Vi or our Caitlyn. On the high roll version, if we hit the Mordekaiser, we can fit in an insane amount of traits here with the Mordekaiser, Twisted Fate, and Mbessa, and you are on your way to level 9. Oh, I forgot to mention, for the 2 experiments that you'll be linking is going to be the Dr. Mundo and the Twitch. So Nunu is only here for the trait bot. Sorcerer Augments to go along with this composition, experiment or Bruiser +1. If you hit the Bruiser +1, then you'll just be playing 6 Bruiser. Plus the Twitch, the Mundo, and then either a Maddie or a Caitlyn on level 8. So then this is going to be your, and then Mundo is going to be the Bruiser holder. So then this is going to be your level 8 here. If you have an experiment +1, then you will be playing 5 experiment and dropping the Zyra. No Zyra if you have experiment +1. All that shimmers collector is going to be Twitch's Biss. So in this case, this will go over the red buff. It'll be the Rageblade, the Infinity Edge, and the collector. Pumping up because we're in an attack speed composition. Coronation, the crown will go on Twitch instead of this second attack speed item. Mutation Survive. Now you will be sacrificing the Zyra and giving all of your experiments bonus damage. Piercing Lotus and Immovable Object are all going to be great augments for this composition. Same with Inspiring Epitaph as well. Any 2-1 econ will also help you out because I know you're going to be contested, and also this is going to be a rather expensive board to hit. This is how you cap out on level 9. You're going to be dropping the Urgot and the Zyra eventually, and playing the Jace, the Mordekaiser, and a Savika as well. Of course, if you hit any 6 costs, they can go over whichever 5 costs you are missing, and the Caitlyn items are going to be Blue Buff, Infinity Edge, plus 1 more damage item. Okay, so let's move on to the Enforcer composition now. Another standard comp around level 8 and level 9. This is mainly going to be a physical damage composition, and this is going to be a fast-paced comp. This is going to be a Caitlyn check, so as soon as you hit the Caitlyn, you are going to be placing quite well. And if you have an Enforcer emblem, which is preferable, then you are able to play 8 Enforcer on level 8 if you have that Caitlyn, and the spat will go ideally on Savika, Rumble, or even Mbessa until you have them. Now, why is this composition good? There has been a lot of buffs to the Enforcer units laddering up into the 4 costs. So Twisted Fate, more damage here, Camille, more damage here, and Loris, a larger shield. So this is what the level 8 board is going to look like along with our flex units. So let's talk about the core first, right? So Maddie, Steb, Camille, Loris, Twisted Fate, and Vi. These are going to be our 6 Enforcer units that we are playing on level 8. And then our flex is either going to be Alawi plus Mbessa or Elise plus Gangplank. Alawi and Mbessa will allow us to get 2 Sentinel, the Emissary bonus in, as well as 2 Quick Striker, and the Elise and Gangplank will give us 2 Bruiser, 2 Form Swapper, and also 2 Pit Fighter. So depending on what you hit on the roll down, along with items, you can play one of these 2. You'll be going level 8 on 4-1/4-2 as usual and stabilizing with these 6 Enforcer units plus one of these flex combinations. Now, Vi best in slot is going to be BT Sterix +1. This can either be Titans or Edge of Night. If you have some artifacts, she does quite well with Triforce, Death Defiance, and even Spectral Cutlass. Caitlyn best in slot is going to be blue buff plus Infinity Edge. Now, if we hit this Caitlyn, this will be going over the Camille, plus 1 more damage item. Until then, Maddie will be holding the Caitlyn items. You will not be building blue buff. You can build the Shojin, that's fine as a replacement of the blue buff, but you can be building the Last Whisper or the Infinity Edge if you do not have an Even Shroud. Caitlyn will go over the Camille as I mentioned, and then TF will hold anti-heal, so this will be Morello. This can also be the red buff if you have an excess of bows. This is how you're going to cap out your composition. Savika will eventually get in here, same with Rumble, and this will be what you play on level 9 with the Camille dropped. Best of all augments, so Enforcer +1 is going to be extremely good. In this case, you will be Enforcer embleming the Savika, and you will be playing the Camille over the Mbessa. The traits or the gold augment called Trait Martial Law will give you both an Mbessa and a Caitlyn. This is going to be amazing in this composition and allow you to hit that Caitlyn on level 8. All that shimmers, Collector, you will only take this from a very tempo spot if you're able to streak and make some gold with Maddie early. Coronation, the crown will go onto Mbessa. It could even go on Twisted Fate. Piercing Lotus and Immovable Object are quite good as well. Sorcerer Anomalies is going to be ideally on the Vi, so Bulwark, Stone Skin, Invisibility, Berserker's Rage, Last Chance, Avalanche of Armor is good if there's a Twitch heavy lobby. So these are going to be more the melee bruiser augments or melee bruiser anomalies to help keep your Vi alive, rather than offensive ones such as Comeback Story. Comeback Story will be able to go onto the Caitlyn or any additional ones, AD ones such as Attack Expert. Let's keep it going here. Academy Heimerdinger, this is going to be a level 8 to 9 composition, playing around the Sentinels and the Academy. This is going to be a mixed damage stall composition because the longer the fight goes, the more damage our Heimerdinger will be doing. Make sure that on stage 1, you're going into your trait tracker or your team planner and putting in Lux and checking out what the Academy items are. You can also just check out Lux if you're able to find her in your shop or your opponents have her. Now, why are we playing this composition? Leona got a buff to her mana, Loris got a buff to his shield, and unfortunately Jace got a little bit of a backline nerf, but a frontline buff. Here's what your level 8 board is going to look like without the high rolls. The high rolls, of course, being the Jace and the Rumble. Level 8 on 4-1 and 4-2, and stabilized with 4 Sentinel is going to be Leona, Alawi, Rel, and Irelia, plus some flex units. Most of the time, you'll be playing Heimerdinger and Ezreal, and then you could see whether or not you hit a Jace, a Rumble if you want to go 6 Sentinel, if you have any +1s, open slots, but on average, this will be your default board. For Heimerdinger, you really want blue buff over Shojin, just the way Visionary works and his kit, and +2. You can go more of a backloaded type of damage route, which is going to be the Archangel plus the Gunblade, or you could go more of a front-loaded route with the Guardbreaker and the Jewel Gauntlet. For Alawi, her Biss is going to be Sunfire +2. Any pure tank item, Redemption, Declaw, Bramble, Steadfast will be good. Warmox is okay, however, you would much rather the Sunfire and the Redemption to make use of those belts. In the backline here, if you have Corki 2, you could put your Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, Guardbreaker, DB on him, or if you have Ezreal 2, you could put these items on Ezreal as well, and play either the Corki or a Tristana in the meantime. Let me show you how to cap out your board here. So eventually you will be playing 6 Sentinel on level 9 and 4 Academy with the Jace. If you don't, or if you have a Corki 2, you can also stay 4 Sentinel, play the Corki, and also a Lux for 4 Sentinel, 5 Academy. Best install augments to go along with this composition is going to be Academy +1, Little Buddies, Shield Bash, Coronation, Piercing Lotus. The crown will just go on anybody here, and then also any item augments along with a 2/1 econ. Once you hit the Rumble, remember that Rumble is a pure damage unit, so you don't want to be putting like Declaw or like Bramble Vest on him. You want to be putting pure AP items such as like Rabadons, Jewel Gauntlet, and also give them a little bit of healing either through a Gunblade, Bloodthirster, or a Hodge. Sorcerer Anomalies to go along with this composition. Since we have so much frontline, ideally you want to be putting the Anomaly onto the Heimerdinger. So Kill Streak, nothing wasted. Both of these mana ones are extremely good on Heimerdinger. Same with Comeback Story. If you have an Alawi one or you are lacking frontline but a Heimerdinger 2, you could use an Alawi one, Deep Roots, Giant Size, Fortified, or any just in general tank ones, even Scuttle Familiar. And then if you have a Corki 2 and Corki is your main character at the time, you could use Attack Expert or Comeback Story. And our very last one for today is going to be the Scrap Corki Ekko composition. Used to be quite popular and now it is back in the meta. Same thing, level 8 to 9. So no reroll compositions were discussed today because they are rather conditional. This is going to be a mixed damage stall composition as well. And this will be requiring excess items. This is actually not too much of a stall composition, but it's not exactly a burst composition either. So we'll just take this out for now. Why is this composition good? Ekko got a good mana buff from 60 to 50. Trundle got a mana buff as well. Gangplank Melee got a buff. Ziggs got a nerf, however, ideally we're not playing Ziggs on our final board. And also Powder got a damage buff as well. This is what your level 8 board is going to look like. So our 6 scrap units for the low roll is going to be Trundle, Gangplank, Corki, Ekko, Powder, and Ziggs. Eventually Ziggs is going to be the unit that we take out to play the Rumble instead. This means that since we have 6 scrap units, our 2 other units are going to be the Elise and the Tristana. If you don't have Tristana, you can play Urgot for the time being, but eventually Tristana will be better as Pit Fighter is not that useful on a backline Gangplank. Corki best in slot is going to be Deathblade, Infinity Edge +1. This is either going to be a Guardbreaker, Last Whisper, or Giant Slayer. And then Ekko Bis is going to be Hand of Justice +2 items. A Spark, Crown Guard, Jewel Gauntlet, Rabadons, BT, even Titans are all good on him as well. Now you might be thinking, why is Corki in the front line? Well, once you have all of these items on stage 4 with 6 scrap, he is going to be having a rather large shield. So in matchups where your front line is going to be sustaining quite a bit and Corki will not be making use of his shield, you can put him in the front line and he will strafe back on his initial cast and go beside the Gangplank. Because of this large shield, it's pretty rare that the shield will break so before he casts, so you are able to make effective use of this shield on a backliner that will make its way back, and this will just give you pseudo frontline for your team. Business Law Augments to go along with this competition. Scrap +1 is going to be very good. This will also allow you to have the potential of going 9 scrap as well. Little Buddies, of course you'll need another +1 here. Little Buddies also going to be very good. Powered shields, because all of our scrap units start with shields. Buried Treasure for extra items, and also Piercing Lotus. One more thing to note is this scrap crest and crown. This will be going on to the Elise, and then we could be playing a better unit than the Trundle. Any extra items as well, also Delayed Start is just a very good 2/1 augments, along with any 2/1 econ is going to be very good, because eventually we do want to go level 9, fit in that Alawi once we hit a Rumble for 2 Sentinel, and extra armor and magic resist on a board that has an insane starting shield is going to be extremely valuable. And last but not least, best in slot anomalies to go along with this composition. Ideally, you want to be going on the Ekko. However, you can also put on the Corki. Ekko, Bulwark, Stone Skin, Slime Time, and Center of the Universe is going to be Bis on Ekko. And for Corki, Attack Expert, Comeback Story, even the finisher is fine on him as well. Alright, so that was everything for today. A rather lengthy guide. I've been working on it all day. We'll do a quick little recap and then we'll finish it off, and then I'm going to bed. So we talked about numerous things today. We talked about the 5 compositions: Sorcerers with the +1, Experiment Twitch, Enforcer Vi, Academy Heimerdinger, Scrap Corki. We talked about the overall meta tier list, how Twitch is really back into the meta, while Dominator Silco, Renata Reroll, Violet Reroll is definitely, not definitely, but more out of the meta with nerfs to Cam Baron and Automata. We also talked about the best stage 1 unit holds: Maddie, Stab pairing extremely well together, Darius Draven. You can also play Lux Azira, Singed Irelia. These all come in packages, and then Trundle to go along with this initial package as well. Units to stay away from ideally is going to be, well, Violet for 100%, and also Powder and Morgana are not going to be good holds either. And then last but not least, units to, or items to slam on stage 2. Ginsu's Rageblade is going to be your go. Sunfire Cape and Ginsu's are going to be your most common. Runons if you need to streak. Infinity Edge is good. Even Shroud as well. And Sterix you'll be playing into Vi or Mbessa. Everything else you'll be most likely playing into an AP composition. However, since Twitch and like Enforcers is stronger, playing it willingly into the AP lines will have you a harder time of top 2ing top 3. Okay, so that's everything for today. I hope you learned something. If you did, make sure you join my Discord and you subscribe. I put a lot of work into these guides, so I really appreciate all the support that you have all been giving me. Best of luck in your games. Tomorrow I will be playing in Tactician's Trials on the day that this video is uploaded. So if you're interested in that, you can watch me on Twitch in the link in the description and the pinned comment. Best of luck in your games. I hope you like this new patch, and I will see you in a few days with a new guide. Take care and have a great day.